Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy time zones, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Hi, Sprouts. Hey, Jubo. Cherry Pie. I think that's everybody, right? Jubo, thanks for the resubscribe. 14 months. Has it really been that long? I mean, that means you've been there since the beginning. But I appreciate that. And Sprouts, I think you've been moderating almost that long, haven't you? And probably watching longer. Tyler, how's it going? Sounds aren't going to work until I go to a different screen, but I can do that. All right, there we go.
Hello there!
I think everybody expects the Obi-Wan Kenobi hello there when they play that, but they get Inigo Montoya instead.
Hello there!
All right, so today we're talking about the Dungeoneers Guild and character creation for the Shadow Dark system, which is a game that I will be running in the Dungeoneers Guild. For those that don't know, the Dungeoneers Guild is the Discord server that I created. The purpose of that Discord server is to facilitate scheduling and downtime activities of... Oh. Sorry about that. Let me put that on silent. So, as I was saying, the Dungeoneers Guild Discord server to facilitate the scheduling and downtime activities, and also to be able to host voice and video for TTRPG game sessions. You need a challenge? Well, somebody's going to have to think of something, because my brain does not have the capacity for that these last few weeks. So the Discord server, you can join the Discord server by sending me a request for an invitation through Discord. And once there, you will have to go through a small application process, just because I have all the security settings set to the highest so we don't get bots and BS. Once you're there, I really need everybody to read all the channel descriptions and understand how the server is supposed to work. I don't think the people so far have understood that the server is supposed to be led by the players, not the game masters. The scheduling is supposed to be led by the players, not the game masters. The players are the hardest ones to schedule and are the larger group with the most varied schedules. So we need to get all the players involved to make the server work. If you have any questions about those descriptions, once you get into channel descriptions, once you get into the server, message me all day long, any time of the day or night. And as soon as I get the message, I will respond to you and help you navigate that server, because I really want it to work. Hey, Plainsman, welcome in. If anybody's looking for, so I have two Discord servers. I have my Ashen Legion, Axeroot's Ashen Legion Discord server, and I have the Dungeoneers Guild Discord server. The Dungeoneers Guild is private, invitation only. So if you want that invitation, send me a message on Discord, either through my, well, preferably through my Xbeard's Ashen Legion Discord server, which I just put in the chat. Plainsman, you're on YouTube, so let me see. Let me get you that Discord link. Actually, if you just want one directly to the Dungeoneers Guild, I can send that to you. Sorry, one moment here. There's the Discord link in the YouTube channel. That is good for 7 days. So at any point in time, anybody can jump in with questions about what we're doing, or questions about the server, or questions about Shadow Dark, or any other games that you're interested in playing TTRPG wise. Do you want me to shut it off, Tyler? Because it doesn't need to be. It's a little bit of lo-fi from a YouTube creator that I follow that does a lot of TTRPG stuff. All right, we're going to jump into creating a character here. But again, any questions about anything TTRPG related or Dungeoneers Guild Discord server related, throw them out as you think of them. So on the screen, I have a website and a PDF. On the left, we have the shadowdarklings.net website. Anybody can go there and follow along while we do this. It's free. It's a community-based website that works with the Shadow Dark TTRPG system. And we're going to click on that character tab. We've got a couple characters there. We're going to create a new character. We're only going to use the core sources. We're not going to use we're just going to use the Shadow Dark book. We're not going to use any of the scrolls or Roustabout or any third-party sources. We're just going to do basic character creation. For those that are new to TTRPGs or new to Shadow Dark, I think it's probably best to use just the core book because it's got the least options and it's less for you to consume and try to figure out. So, we're going to design our character and click the Design Character button. We're going to enable edit mode and we start by selecting a background. Actually, we should probably go over some of the stuff in the book before we jump right into this. So, over here on the right-hand side, we've got, this is the inside cover of the book if you were to buy the physical book. They put some useful information in there so it's quick and easy to access. Here's some basic definitions of common terms and acronyms that are used throughout the book. If you're familiar with TTRPGs in general or Dungeons and Dragons, you'll probably recognize a lot of this stuff. Shadow Dark is a combination of old school D&D and current D&D. like 5th edition stuff. So they talk about DCs, which is your difficulty class. This is a number that the DM assigns to a task that you're trying to do. There can be easy ones, normal DCs, hard DCs, or extreme DCs. And different things, different aspects of your character could give you bonuses or negatives to these checks, but you have to meet or beat this number to be successful. Morale, we use this for enemies. If you're fighting a single enemy, when they get reduced to half their number of hit points, half their number in a group of enemies, or half their hit points if it's a solo enemy, they roll a DC 15 wisdom check. If they roll a 14 or lower, they run away from you. They get scared and they run away. Dying, if your character's reduced to 0 hit points, they get to roll a 1d4 plus their Constitution modifier, and that's how many rounds they have for somebody else to stabilize them or heal them, or to roll a natural 20, so that their character's not dead. To stabilize somebody within close range, which is close enough to touch you, can roll a DC 15 intelligence check, and on a success, the character stops dying but is still unconscious. So, do they shout our enemies attack as they run? I mean, maybe. I hope not, though. Distance and movement, we use kind of arbitrary distances in Shadow Dark. Close, near, and far. Close is within 5 feet, so within touch range, or melee range as we like to call it. Near is up to 30 feet away. That's close enough to like throw a dagger at somebody, or shoot them with a bow or a crossbow, or attack them with a ranged spell. And far is within sight. Typically you can shoot somebody with a ranged weapon at that distance, depending on the range of your weapon and on the exactly how far away they are. Like, you might be able to see somebody a mile away if you're up high on a hill. You obviously can't shoot them with a bow. There's climbing checks that you have to make in order to not fall while you're climbing and take damage. Move freely through allies. You have to pass a strength or dexterity check to move through enemies. Swimming is at half speed. Constitution check to see how long you can swim. And then spell focus. You can't cast other focus spells while focusing on a focus spell. Do a spellcasting check at the start of your turn for the focus spell to maintain it. Once you start playing, we'll get more into those rules. Let's see here. Characters, overview. So, character overview. To make a Shadow Dark RPG character, also called a player character or PC. So the differentiation there is you are the player. The person sitting at the table, or the person on the other end of the Discord voice call, is the player, and the character that you're playing is your character. So collectively we refer to that as a player character. Grab your dice, a blank character sheet, and go through the next few pages. You can also view a walkthrough at youtube.com/The Arcane Library. I think I posted that in the Dungeoneers Guild Discord server. That video, so feel free to check it out if this live stream doesn't do it for you. Obviously you got to give your character a name. You can choose a funny name, you can choose a serious name. It's entirely up to you. That makes your name sound unimportant. Know that if you pick a funny name for your character or a serious name for your character, you're kind of setting the tone for your character and the way other people are going to view your character. I had a friend who he names all of his video game characters, and he named his first Dungeons and Dragons character Lord Buttercup. I said, Lord Buttercup, really? He's like, yeah. He said, because if I lose, I mean, you beat Lord Buttercup, what did you expect? Did you really expect him to be a big badass? He said, but if I win, you got beat by Lord Buttercup. And what's that say about you? I said, okay, fair enough. But constantly made fun of at the table for being a Lord Buttercup. Ancestry. So I started playing D&D in 1990. And in 1990 and before that, and even after that, this was referred to as race. For obvious reasons, we don't like to refer to it as race anymore. We refer to it as ancestry. This is your character's cultural and ancestral heritage. This is whether or not you're a human, an elf, a dwarf, a halfling, whatever other various fantasy races, ancestries you can think of. Your class is your character's job. It's what your current job is. You might be a fighter, you might be a priest, you might be a wizard, or you might be a thief as far as Shadowdark is concerned. Level, you start at either 0 or first level. Gain levels by earning XP. XP means experience points. You start with 0 experience points. You gain XP based on the treasure and boons you earn from adventuring. Shadowdark is a gold for experience. Gold equals experience game. Alignment and deity. Your character's cosmic link to the opposing forces of law and chaos or balanced neutrality. Your deity will also have an alignment associated with it. So if you pick a lawful alignment, you will choose a lawful deity. Title. As you gain levels, your prestige grows. Your title is based on your level, class, and alignment. So each class has a series of level titles. And like it might, like a fighter one might be veteran. I don't remember what level that comes in at, but also the titles can vary based on alignment as well. Your background. This is your history and past experience. You are adept at tasks related to your background. This is basically the job that you had before you became an adventurer. Stats. These are 6 scores that determine your physical and mental characteristics. If you're familiar with Dungeons and Dragons or other basic role-playing games, a lot of games use the same ones. So you have strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. HP stands for hit points. This represents the amount of injury you can sustain before you die. Taking damage from weapons, traps, spells, and other sources temporarily reduces your HP. You can regain HP by resting or by being healed by magic or potions or by mundane means. AC is your armor class. This is a type of difficulty class that shows how tough it is to injure you. Whether because you're agile or you wear armor, your class determines the type of armor you can wear. So a lot of people think that hit points is like you lose hit points by actually being cut by a weapon or crushed by a weapon or damaged by a spell. And they also think that if your armor class is a 15 and people just keep on rolling 14 or lower to hit you, that they're just clean missing you. That's fine to think that way, but it's probably more likely that if somebody needs a 15 to hit you and they roll a 14, they still hit you, but your armor protected you from that hit. Also fair to understand that if you need a 15 to be hit and somebody rolls a 15, they didn't necessarily cut you open. You might have dodged that and you just expended enough energy to be considered damage. You're wearing down your health and your stamina and losing your ability to continue the fight. Attacks, the weapons you wield and how you use them to fight in enemy combat. It's pretty obvious. Also can be spell attacks and things like that. Talents, these are special abilities. As you gain levels, you'll get to roll for new talents that will give you things like weapon mastery and luck and things like that. Some classes can learn to cast spells and gear your equipment. You can carry a number of items equal to 10 or your strength stat, whichever's higher. So if you've got a 15 strength, you can carry 15. If you've got a 9 strength, you can carry 10 items. And starting level, we're going to do a little bit of both here today. This first one we're going to make is going to be a first level character. And we're going to walk you through how to do that. Then after that, I've got some NPCs that I need to make for an upcoming adventure. And I'm going to make those as 0 level characters. And we'll explain more of that when we get to it. So some games begin with first level characters.
Let's give these bastards a good hammering!
Tougher than their counterparts and have more defined roles in their adventuring teams. First level characters start with their stats, their choice of ancestry, their choice of class, 1 class talent roll, hit points equal to 1 roll of their class's hit point dice plus their constitution modifier, and background, choice of alignment, title, and starting gear. Let's catch up on chat here. Hey Fox, welcome in. Yeah, I'm glad you made it. Repeat what I said before the stats. 1 second. Before the stats here, when I was talking about first level characters, I was just describing first level characters. Some games begin with first level characters, some use 0 level characters. First level characters are fledgling heroes who are ready to go on dangerous adventures. These characters are tougher than their 0 level counterparts and have more defined roles in their adventuring teams. They have more abilities. And no worries, Fox. All right. So let's get to making a character. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to roll some stats. Now, the last time I did this stream, I had intended to use the dice roller, the built-in dice roller, or a online dice roller, but rightfully so, Tyler wasn't having that, so I got out the real dice, and that's what we're going to do again today. So I'm going to move the mic a little bit, so if at any point in time anybody is having trouble hearing me, let me know, and I will do what I can to correct that. Yes, dice porn. So we're going to start with 3 6-sided dice. Now if you start looking into tabletop RPGs and how these things are done, you'll find hundreds of different ways that people roll their ability scores for the game. We're going to do what the Shadow Dark book recommends, which is 3d6. You can have a score anywhere from 3 to 18. Okay, so we roll 3 6-sided dice, we total them up, and that's our score. Shadow Dark also recommends that we do them in the order of, here on the left side of the screen on the character sheet, we do them in order from strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma, meaning the first roll is going to be our strength roll, the second our dexterity roll, the third our constitution, fourth roll intelligence, fifth wisdom, and the sixth and final roll will be charisma. There's different ways you can do that. The most common way, and the one that I've used for most of my role-playing game experience, is I roll 4d6, 4 6-sided dice. I drop the lowest one and use the 3 highest to total those up for my score. And then I allow them to be placed. I roll 6 of them, 6 scores, and I allow them to be placed wherever the character chooses to place them. But again, we're just going to follow the Shadow Dark rules today and just do 3d6 down the line is what they call it. Shadow Dark also says that if you don't roll at least 114 or higher, you can re-roll all 6 of your stats until you get a set that has at least 114, which is nice. Makes it a little bit more exciting to play a character if they've got something with a decent bonus, and especially in their prime ability requisite. Prime ability requisite means your character class is going to benefit more from having a higher score in certain abilities. Like a fighter is going to want either a high strength or a high dexterity. A wizard is going to want a high intelligence. A priest is going to want a high wisdom, and a thief is going to want a high dexterity or a high charisma. Everybody benefits from having a good constitution because that means more hit points, more survivability. And the reason those stats are preferred, a fighter relies on their ability to use melee weapons and ranged weapons, and depending on what weapons they're using, they get a benefit from having a strength bonus or a dexterity bonus. Thief gets a benefit from lighter weapons and ranged weapons by having a higher dexterity bonus, and their deception skills by having a higher charisma bonus. Wizards rely on intelligence to power their spells. Priests rely on wisdom to power their spells. So, all right, we're going to start rolling some dice here. Like I said, if at any point in time the sound is not working for you, let me know. I'm trying to adjust the mic here to a good spot. First score, we rolled 2 3s and a 2, so that's 8. We're going to put that 8 in strength, and that's going to give us a -1. Second score, we got a 6, a 5, and a 2, so 13. That gives us a +1 to our dexterity. And there we rolled a 6 and 2 2s for a 10. So Constitution stays the same, no bonus, no negative. Rolling for intelligence. There we got 2 5s and a 6. So that is 16. So far it's looking like a wizard. But we're going to roll that randomly too. So our wisdom is 2 2s and a 3 for 7. And charisma, we got 2 3s and a 4 for 10. Okay, so you can see down below our stat rolls, shadowdarklings.net has given us a ranking for what they think our character should be. They are highly favoring wizard, that's because of that high intelligence, and they think thief is viable also, that's because we have a bonus in our dexterity and no negative to our charisma. So, let's see here. I think I want to look at the character that we made. This is the character that we rolled up last time. On the last stream, we got a goblin fighter with a 12 strength, a 15 intelligence, a 13 dexterity, a 4 wisdom, a 14 constitution, and a 10 charisma. What we did was we took that... oh, sorry about that. Give me 1 second. Oh, damn it. That's what I get for getting button happy. I don't remember our scores, so we're going to re-roll those really quickly. All right. Sorry, guys. Well, that's a better... I mean, off the jump, we now have a 16 strength. I know that was our intelligence before. And we have a 14 dexterity. we have a 10 Constitution. And a 15 Intelligence. Wow. And a 13 Wisdom. And an 11 Charisma. Now you see that the 10 Constitution and the 11 Charisma both have a +0. That's because the modifiers change every 2 numbers. So 10 and 11 is 0, 12, 13 is +1, 14, 15 +2, so on. With these scores, the character generator is telling us that Fighter is our best bet, and Priest is our lowest one. It throws Wizard in there above Priest. I would disagree with that. The reason being, Priests can use pretty decent melee weapons, and with this high strength and high dexterity adding to our armor class, and having a decent wisdom, we can...
Let's give these bastards a good hammering!
Hey Cal, welcome in. So we're going to go back to our background. There's an option of 20 backgrounds here. I'm not going to go through them all right now. I'm not going to explain them all. Some of them are pretty obvious. This last one down at the bottom is basically a surgeon, like a non-magical healer. So there's 20 of these. We're going to roll. I got 2 20-sided die here. So chat, you tell me if you want the blue number or the white number. I just rolled doubles, so I'm going to roll them again. Waiting on chat for blue or white option. Sprout says blue. Blue is an 11. So we want the 11th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Mercenary. Has to be the blue pill, Cal says, right? All right, so Mercenary says you fought friend and foe alike for your coin. So that fighter's looking better, but I think Priest is still a viable option. If chat has a preference between Priest and Fighter, just shout it out. Otherwise, I can roll for it. So we're only going to do those 2 options, unless somebody has a strong argument for a thief or wizard. Then we can roll all 4 options if you want to. Make it completely random. What do you think, chat? Roll between fighter and priest? Roll between all 4 classes? Or does chat just want to choose? Majority rules in chat, so roll them. Roll all 4 of them, or just roll the 2. All 4, she says. All right. Now we have a choice between blue and green. We're gonna roll 2. Chat picks which one we go with. So shout it out, blue or green. Tyler says green. Anyone else? Opposed or against? Sprout says green. Green is priest. So we're going to come down here and select priest. We'll get back to that ancestry here in a second. And So, priest, crusading Templars, prophetic shamans, or mad-eyed zealots who wield the power of their gods to cleanse the unholy. They are allowed to use clubs, crossbows, daggers, maces, longswords, staffs, or warhammers. They can use all armor and shields. They get 1d6 hit points per level. And they know either celestial, diabolic, or primordial languages. And they know the turn undead spell. And it doesn't count toward your number of spells known, because you only get, so here in this table it shows us spells known by tier. A first level priest knows 2 first level spells. At second level, it's 3 first level spells. It is not 2 plus 3, it just increases to 3. So at third level, 3 first level spells, 1 second level spell. At 10th level, 3 first level, 3 second level, 3 third level, 2 fourth level, and 2 fifth level spells. So now, where were we? Deity. Choose a god to serve who matches your alignment. You have a holy symbol for your god. It takes up no gear slots, which is nice. Spellcasting. You can cast priest spells you know. You know 2 tier 1 spells of your choice from the priest spell list on page 51. Each time you gain a level, you choose new priest spells to learn according to the priest spells known table. For casting priest spells, see spellcasting on page 44. Okay. So that's the basic rundown of the priest. Now we get to choose an ancestry. It looks like we get to choose between dwarf, halfling, or human. I don't know why they took goblin off the list, but that's okay, because I didn't really want to make a goblin anyways. So, chat, have a choice for ancestry, or are we rolling for ancestry? I do own 3-sided dice. I do not have any here with me right now, but we will roll d6, and 1 and 2 will serve as a 1, 3 and 4 will serve as a 2, and 5 and 6 will serve as a 3. Tyler says roll it. All right, we're going to do, let me get a different colored 6-sided die here. All right, we're going to use, our choices are, the dice are strong on this character. Our choices for colors here are sparkly and blue. All right, choose your color, chat. Sparkly. Well, sparkly gives us a dwarf, which you know I'm not going to argue with. So, dwarf ancestry. Brave, stalwart folk as sturdy as the stone, kingdoms they carve inside mountains. You know the common and dwarvish languages. You start with +2 hit points. Roll your hit point gains with advantage. Rolling with advantage means that you roll 2 dice and you take the higher number. Disadvantage means that you roll 2 dice and take the lower number. So, you just want me to throw you in a voice chat, Jubo, so you can just shout it out? All right, so we have some really solid scores here. I mean, we have no negatives to any of our scores. If I could have placed these scores where I wanted to, instead of just putting them down the line, I would have put the 16 in strength. I would have put the 15 in wisdom, and I would have put the 14 in constitution. Actually, I think I take that back. 15 would have gone in strength, 16 in wisdom, 14 in constitution. I think that would have been a pretty awesome character for this setup. So now we got to pick some other options here. We get to choose a priestly language. We get to choose celestial, diabolic, or primordial. Where's our alignment choice? Good build for a tortured and mysterious backstory, though, for sure. Talent, hit points, golden gear, other features. Okay, so let's choose our alignment. Let's go over here to find the alignment descriptions. Alignment. Chaotic. Chaotic characters align themselves with destruction, ambition, and wickedness. Chaotic characters adopt a survival of the fittest mentality. Lawful. Lawful characters align themselves with fairness, order, and virtue. Lawful characters operate from a good of the whole mentality. Or neutral. Neutral characters find balance between law and chaos. They align with the circle of growth and decline, adopting a nature must take its course mentality. So we can roll for our alignment, or you guys can choose. I think I already know what you're going to pick. So we will go with the roll. No chaotic good. So traditional Dungeons and Dragons has 9 alignments, and they're all a combination of chaos, law, or neutrality, plus good, evil, or neutrality. So you can have a neutral character, which we call true neutral, or you can have a chaotic evil, chaotic good, or chaotic neutral character, and so on. Shadow Dark did away with that. Alignment gets really complex, and it doesn't really have enough in Dungeons and Dragons. It doesn't really do a whole lot for you. Like, there's no consequence to picking an alignment, and so they just broke it down to chaos, law, and neutrality, and leave it to the player to role play whether or not they're good or evil, or neutral. So I feel like I'm chaotic good. My life alignment is chaotic chaos. chaotic. So we're gonna roll, right? Is there a spicy chaotic? I mean, I think Tyler's got that covered. So we'll roll. I have the blue die and the sparkly die. So pick your poison, chat. Blue or sparkly? Are you guys able to hear those dice roll? I'm trying to move the mic so that happens, but Jubo says blue. Everybody good with blue? Okay. So blue is chaotic. Also, be thinking of a name for your dwarf priest, everybody. We can always randomly roll a name, but we can also just type one in. So since we picked chaotic, now we get to pick a deity. Let's go to the Shadow Dark book to look at the deities. So we're looking for chaotic deities. Next page. Nope, this one's not going to be an Axebeard. This is chat's character, not my character. All right, so chaotic deities are Memnon. Memnon was the first manifestation of chaos. He is Madeira's twin, a red-maned Leonin being whose ultimate ambition is to rend the cosmic laws of the Covenant from his sister's skin. So that sounds like chaotic evil to me. Here's Madeira, here's his sister. Madeira was the first manifestation of law. She carries every law of reality, a dictate called the Covenant, written on her skin in precise symbols. So then there's Ramlot. Ramlot is the pillager, the barbaric, the horde. Many orcs worship him and live by the blood right, a prophecy that says only the strongest will survive in a coming doom. I mean, that sounds great and all, but we're a dwarf, and seems to be a primarily orc god, so I don't think a dwarf would pick that. And then we have Shun the Vile. Shun whispers arcane secrets to sorcerers and witches who call to her in the dark hours. She schemes to displace Ord so she can control the vast flow of magic herself. So she's kind of the chaotic goddess of magic. And then we've got this one down here, the Lost, with the question mark in the alignment category. 2 of the 9, there's 9 gods in Shadowdark, 2 of the 9 are lost to the ages, their names expunged from history and memory. Yet their whispered legend lives on in ancient texts and forgotten places. So this could be any alignment. I think it particularly leans into chaos. But again, it's up to the player that's choosing this as a god. Tyler mentioned a how did you word it, Tyler? Looking back in chat. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Good build for a tortured and mysterious backstory. I think the Lost kind of leans into that idea. So we can just pick one of these 4, or again, we can roll it. But this is an example of how you kind of build your own character backstory and build the presence of your character. I mean, you can let the dice decide, and then you can build your presence based off what the dice tell you. Or you can start to choose and kind of direct your character's essence, so to speak. Sprout says Lost or roll again. Anybody else want to weigh in on that? If nobody else wants to weigh in, I'm just going to pick the Lost. Chupo says Lost is good, though sometime I'd like to do Shun. Yeah, I think Shun would be really good for a chaotic wizard. I think it could be good for a chaotic priest too, just because they don't mention shaman or priest in the description of her. That doesn't mean you can't pick it. So we can roll between the Lost and Shun if you guys want to. Let me know. We can always go back. And now we're going to go back up here. So priestly language. So we picked chaotic and we picked the Lost. Usually celestial is law, diabolic is chaos, and primordial would be neutrality. But those are loose definitions. They're not clearly defined as that anywhere. So we can pick any one of these, and let's roll for it. So again, blue or sparkly to choose our priestly language. Blue or sparkly. Sprout says sparkly. Anybody else? Sparkly. All right. Sparkly is primordial. And now we get to pick our priest spell. Our priest spells. So we have an option of 5. We have Shield of Faith, Protection from Evil, Light, Holy Weapon, Cure Wounds. I would like to not leave this one to the dice because this is like picking your weapons, right? And I mean, we could leave them to the dice if that's what you guys want to do. If you were making up your own character, if you're following along at home, making up a character as you go, please pick your own. So we'll take a look at these spells quick. If we select one, it'll tell us. So Cure Wounds is Tier 1, close range, instant duration. Instant duration means as soon as you cast the spell, it takes effect and it's over. Your touch restores ebbing life. Roll a number of d6s equal to 1 plus half of your level rounded down. One target you touch regains that many hit points. So if you're 5th level, you're going to roll 1d6 plus half of your level, so that'd be 2.5. You round it down to 2. So you're going to roll 3d6s, and whatever your total is, that's how many hit points the target gets back. Because we're 1st level, or if we were 2nd level, or if we were 3rd level, we would only be rolling 2d6. The number of d6 is equal to 1 plus half your level rounded down. So, obviously, this spell is the reason people play priests, right? It shouldn't be, but it is. If you show up at the table to play a game and you have a priest character, everybody else at the table is going to expect you to have this spell. Doesn't mean you have to take it. That's what people are going to expect. Holy Weapon. Tier 1, close range, meaning you have to be able to touch it. Touch the weapon that you're casting this on. Duration 5 rounds. So one weapon you touch is imbued with a sacred blessing. The weapon becomes magical and has a +1 to attack and damage rolls for the duration. +1 doesn't sound like a lot, but yep, you touch the weapon. So when you +1 doesn't sound like a lot, but there are monsters that exist in TTRPGs that can't be damaged by normal weapons. You have to have a magical weapon or spells to be able to damage them. They're just unaffected by a regular mace upside the head. But a holy weapon, enchanted mace, or a magical mace of other means will actually be able to do damage to them. So the important part of this spell is that it becomes magical. That'll last for 5 rounds. You touch the weapon, it becomes magical and gets the +1 bonus. And for 5 rounds, it is magical and has that +1 bonus. Yes, just one, Fox. Touch it and it magically gets harder. I mean, not necessarily, but, maybe. I guess it depends on if it's a bludgeon or not. Let's see here. Next spell, Light. Tier 1, range close, duration 1 hour real time. Meaning not 1 in-game hour, because time can be arbitrary within the game, since this is a turn-based game. But one object you touch glows with bright, heatless light, illuminating out to a near distance for 1 hour of real time. So 30 feet around you, everything gets lit up with bright light. We start a 1 hour timer at the table, and you can start it as the player, or I can start it as the game master, or both. The reason that 1 hour of real time is important is kind of the really popular rule, the thing that makes Shadowdark different from most other TTRPGs is that torches, no player character can have dark vision in Shadowdark. The monsters have dark vision, player characters cannot. That means if you play a goblin as a player character and you do not have dark vision, but if you're fighting goblins, the goblins monsters do have dark vision. Seems weird, but it's a rule that I really like. When you start giving certain ancestries, like in Dungeons and Dragons, dwarves and elves both have dark vision, whereas halflings and humans don't. People will choose to play a dwarf or an elf just to get the dark vision, which is kind of a sad choice to me. And then Shadow Dark also makes torches, light sources, last in real time. So a flask of oil in your lantern lasts for 1 hour. A torch burns for 1 hour. This light spell lasts for 1 hour. When it goes out, everything's completely dark. You can't see shit because you're usually in a dungeon, right? Anywhere that you would need light, you're going to be in complete darkness when you lose that light. If it's a torch or a lantern, and you don't light another torch or refill your lantern or light another lantern before the light source goes out, now you're fumbling around in the dark trying to do that, and you get disadvantage on the roll to be able to light that light source. So light would be a really good spell. And then protection from evil, close range, duration, focus, meaning as long as you can focus on this spell, it will last. For the spell's duration, chaotic beings have disadvantage on attack rolls and hostile spellcasting checks against the target. These beings also can't possess, compel, or beguile the target. When cast on an already possessed target, the possessing entity makes a charisma check versus the last spellcasting check. On a failure, the entity is expelled. I'm not going to get into all the fine details of that right now. Basically, if you're fighting a chaotic being, you cast this on yourself or on another companion. Whoever is the target of the spell can't be possessed, can't be compelled, can't be beguiled by the chaotic enemies. If you're already possessed by a chaotic enemy, then you get a extra check to end that possession. And then the focus thing is at the end of every one of your turns, you roll a focus check, and if you succeed at it, the spell continues for the next round. If you fail at it, the spell ends. And then the last option is Shield of Faith. Range as self, you can only cast on yourself, not on your friends. Lasts for 5 rounds. A protective force wrought of your holy conviction surrounds you. You gain a +2 bonus to your armor class for the duration. So it's +2 armor for 5 rounds. Only able to be cast on yourself. So those are our 5 choices. Shall we roll for them? We are going to roll a 10-sider. 1 and 2 is 1, 2 and 3 is 2, or 3 and 4 is 2, so on. All right. So we're gonna roll here. I have, I need to get a different colored 10-sider. All right, we have blue and purple. Shout it out, chat. Blue or purple. And we're going to do this twice because there's 2 spells. Sprout says purple. Tubo says purple. Fox says a piece of Swiss cheese. I don't think that was an option, Fox. Not for the holy weapon or the dice. So, purple is 3. 1, 2, 3. We got light. All right. Second spell. If anybody wants to just say Cure Wounds or Shield of Faith or any of these other spells, go for it. So, again, blue or purple. Actually, we need to change our dice to D4 because we're not going to select light again. So let me grab those four-sided dice and we'll roll that again. All right, and now we're going to do blue or yellow, or gold, if you will. Blue or gold? It'll be funny if you guys don't get Cure Wounds. Sprout says blue. Jibo says gold. All right, we need a tiebreaker, folks. Blue or gold for the tiebreaker. I'm sorry, Poppy. You don't get a vote. But your mom should give you some Cheerios. Because the box is gold. Runa doesn't get a vote either. Fox, Tyler, Cal, anybody else that's out there lurking that would like to speak up? Fox says blue. All right, that's Cure Wounds. That was a 1. Thank you, everybody.
Hello there!
Hey, Thunder. We are making up a Shadow Dark character for the TTRPG known as Shadow Dark. Talking about the Dungeoneers Guild Discord server. You are free to follow along on character creation at shadowdarklings.net or just on the screen. You're also free to ask any questions about the Dungeoneers Guild Discord server, which I know you're already a member of, or my experience playing TTRPGs. Anything TTRPG related, I will do my best to answer. But welcome in. Glad you made it. So we're moving on to, well, we'll give Thunder a quick recap. So we started making our Shadow Dark character. We chose our background, which was mercenary, meaning you fought friend and foe alike for your coin. Your background is is the job that you did before you became an adventurer. We rolled our stats. We got really lucky with the stats. We rolled some really good stats. We have a 16 strength, a 14 dexterity, a 10 constitution, a 15 intelligence, a 13 wisdom, and an 11 charisma. We did that by rolling 3d6 down the line, as they call it. If you know anything about character creation in TTRPGs, you roll 3d6, you total them up, and you put the first one in strength, the second one in dexterity, third in constitution, then intelligence, fifth in wisdom, and sixth and final in charisma. We've been rolling everything randomly for the most part here. So we randomly rolled a dwarf, we randomly rolled a priest, and we randomly rolled the primordial language for the priestly language, and we randomly rolled to get the light spell and the cure wounds spell. And we are now going to roll our class talent. So we're going to roll a d12 here. I'm going to roll 2 d12s, and we will see what talent we get. If you can't read those talents very well, our options are gain advantage on casting one spell, meaning we will forever get advantage on that spell. So if we picked Cure Wounds, we could roll the d6s twice and pick the higher result every time we cast that spell. +1 to melee or ranged attacks. That's just a +1 on the attack roll. It's not a plus on the damage roll. +1 to priest spellcasting checks. Any check that you, like if you cast a spell that has to roll against the target's dexterity or something like that, you get a +1 to that roll. Your focus checks to continue focusing on a spell will get a +1. Next option is +2 to your strength or your wisdom stat. And then the last one is choose a talent or 2 points to distribute the stats. So you can choose any one of those previous talents, or you can get 2 points to put wherever you want to in your stats. So we're going to roll that d12. Let me find a second d12, because what we're doing is rolling 2 dice and letting chat choose the color of the die that we go with. So we have a purple and a blue. All right, purple or blue, chat, for our talent. we're in an ad, aren't we? If one of these subscribers can let me know when the ad is up, that would be great. And never mind, I've got it pulled up. I can tell you when it's gonna. I'll know when it is. And then after this, we're gonna roll hit points. And then we get to roll to see how much gold we get, and then we get to spend that gold on gear.
Hello there!
I'm just making sure I'm awake, Jubo. All right, looks like the ad break is over. So we are choosing between blue and purple for our priestly talent roll. Let me know what you want, chat. Blue or purple? While I hydrate. Oh, thanks, Jubo. Kind of you. Jubo says blue. Who else? Blue or purple? Purple or blue? I can tell you that our choices are between gaining advantage on one spell or +2 to strength or wisdom stat. And we got blue. So we got +2 to the strength or wisdom stat. All right, so do we want to add +2 to our 16 strength, taking it up to an 18, which will change the modifier from a +3 to a +4? Or do we want to add it to wisdom, changing that from a 13 to a 15, changing the bonus from a +1 to a +2? Hugo says, by the way, I made a dwarf character, Brindis Deepfane. Now she was on my thread in the guild server. Perfect. Awesome. Love it. What class? So chat, strength or wisdom? Or roll? Wisdom would be the wise one here. 16 strength is a pretty good strength. 18 would be better, but getting that extra plus to your spellcasting stat is pretty clutch. A thief. Nice. Rode along with me. Nice. Awesome. Jubo says wisdom. Anybody else want to weigh in? Wisdom or strength? Add +2. That'll change our strength modifier to a +4. It would change our wisdom modifier to a +2. Sprout says wisdom. Good choice, people. Smart choice. And now hit points. So we roll. Please select hit points rolled on a d6. Now, because we're a dwarf, we get +2. And I always say that well, let's just see what it says because, all right, we're going to roll that d6, those d6s, because we're going to let chat choose their fate. You still want a PDF and a JSON in the thread, right? Yes, please. I need the JSON. I prefer to look at the PDF when I pull it up on my screen while we're playing, but the virtual tabletop requires the JSON for me to import your character. So, blue or gold are our choices for these hit points. This is the base number of hit points before we add any modifiers. Roll doubles. All right. Blue or gold? Gold or blue? Roll on our hit points. Jubo says gold. Anybody else got an opinion? Sprout says gold. That was a good choice because our choices were between 2 hit points or 6 hit points. So here's the breakdown of what we got our hit points. So plus 2 hit points for being stout. Oh, we could have rolled with advantage, but it doesn't matter. We still got the max. So roll hit points with advantage. Add 2. And no constitution modifier, so we got 8. If we would have had a plus 2 constitution modifier, that'd be a 10. So 8 hit points, pretty good for a dwarf priest. Now we get to roll how much gold we will get to spend. So 2d6. Grab another 6-sider. All right. Blue or gold again? Blue or gold? Whatever this number totals up to be, we're going to multiply it by 5. Jubo says blue. Anybody else? Blue or gold? Sprout says what Jubo says. All right. So we rolled a 9 times 5 is 45. So we got 45 gold pieces. So let's get to the equipment and talk about a crawling kit. And because we have a 16 strength, we have 16 gear slots. Some items take up less than a gear slot. They can fit multiple items into one gear slot. Some take up multiple gear slots. Looking to see where it talks about a crawling kit. Crawling kit. Okay. So it says, do you want to buy a crawling kit? Yes or no? A crawling kit costs 7 gold pieces. It uses 7 gear slots and contains the following items. A backpack, which costs you 0 gear slots. A flint and steel. 2 torches. That's 2 gear slots. Flint and steel takes up 1 gear slot. Rations, you get 3 rations. And it fills 1 gear slot. 10 iron spikes fills 1 gear slot. A grappling hook for 1 gear slot, and a 60-foot rope for 1 gear slot. And armor will take up gear slots. We're only going to be able to afford leather armor, which will take up 1 gear slot, which will give you an 11 plus your dexterity modifier for armor class. Chainmail gives you disadvantage on stealth and swimming. Plate mail, you cannot swim in plate mail, disadvantage on stealth. A shield occupies 1 hand. And mithril is really expensive. Actually gives you a free gear slot and no penalty on stealth or swimming. So, do players have access to the document you have open on the right? Yes, it's in the, as Jubo pointed out, on the Dungeoneers Guild in the resources category under the Shadow Dark Resources channel. Yep, and there's a bunch of other resources there like character sheets and stuff like that too. And if you're looking for anything that's not there, feel free to ask me before anybody spends any money on anything, because I probably have it. Weapons will also take up gear slots. So, like a bastard sword is a versatile weapon, which means it can be used one-handed or two-handed. It does different damage if you're using it one-handed or two-handed, but it takes up 2 gear slots. Great axes are two-handed or versatile and also take up 2 gear slots. A great sword is two-handed and takes up 2 slots. And that's it. Those are the only ones that take up multiple slots. Of course, a crossbow or a bow is essentially going to take up multiple slots because you have to have a slot for the weapon and for another one for the ammunition. What's a bastard sword? A bastard sword, also known as a hand and a half sword. So it's a sword. It's essentially a long sword that has a two-handed grip on it, and you can still use it one-handed. It might be a little bit longer than your typical longsword, but it can be used one-handed or two-handed. If you use it one-handed, you do 1d8 damage, which you'll see is the same damage as the longsword. If you use it two-handed, it'll do 1d10 damage, which is between the damage of a longsword and a greatsword. So, if you took a bastard sword and a shield, and then your shield broke, or you lost your shield, then you could switch to two-handed and do more damage with your bastard sword. That's the same way a great axe works. It's versatile. You can use it one-handed or two-handed. So, and there is no battle axe or one-handed axe. Great axe is your only choice for axe. So, warhammers is your only choice for warhammer, and that's a two-handed weapon. So, if you choose a warhammer, you can't use a shield with it. So, I'm going to go ahead and say buy the crawling kit. Otherwise, we're going to be here for a while picking a bunch of gear, and we'll pick most of this stuff anyways. I will go through the gear list here in a minute and see if there's anything else anybody wants to add. But as a first-time character, I always recommend everybody buy the crawling kit. So that's 7 out of 16 slots. You want to keep some slots open if you can, because you got to have a way to carry your treasure out of the dungeon. So, we're going to stick with XP milestone, or XP advancement, not milestone advancement. Milestone is like, I say, you get 1 experience point when you finish the dungeon, or something to that effect. We're not going to do that. So, all right, now, so we need to pick our weapons. We don't have any weapons or armor yet. We'll go to armor first. Actually, no. We'll go to weapons first, because if we pick a two-handed weapon, then we can't pick a shield. So we have the box checked for only priest weapons because we're a priest, so it's only going to show us weapons that the priest can wield. Okay? So we have a club, which does 1d4 damage. It's close range melee. Crossbow does far range. If you can see it, you can shoot it. That doesn't qualify for if you're outside the dungeon. This all assumes that you're in the dungeon, so that if you can see it, it's still within crossbow range. But if you're outside on the way to the dungeon or on your way back home from the dungeon, and you can see a couple 100 yards, then no, you might not be able to shoot it with the crossbow. So, gotta run. I might lurk. All right, well, thanks for stopping by, Thunderstriking. If you want to check in and check out the video later, it'll be up on YouTube, so, and up on Twitch for a little while. Dagger can be close or near. Close is melee range. Near is if you throw the dagger. It has the finesse property and the thrown property, which means that finesse means that you use your dexterity modifier to hit and damage rolls instead of your strength modifier. And TH means thrown, means you can throw it. Back to the crossbow, L stands for loading. You must forego moving to reload this weapon. So if you fire your crossbow and you want to reload it, you can't move either that round or the next round. You have to forego your movement on one of your turns before loading it, or before you can fire it again. Longsword, close range, melee weapon, 1d8 damage. And mace, close range, 1d6. And staff, close range, 1d4, two-handed. Warhammer, close range, 1d10, two-handed. All of these that don't have the F property will add your strength modifier to your hit roll and your damage roll. So, do we want to just pick? Do you want to roll for it? It's up to you guys. Again, if you pick the staff or the Warhammer, you're not going to be able to wield a shield. Sprouts is going to cook, so she's going to lurk. Thank you for hanging out. Jubo says hammer. Anybody else got a take on that? We won't wait too long. If somebody has an opinion that would require a change, we can talk about it. So you're going to click this shopping cart button, and that's going to say buy it for 10 gold pieces. Because this is the initial character creation, our option is only to buy it. We can't give it to you. After the character's done, when you go to level up or when you go to add your loot that you got from the dungeon after an adventure, you will have the shopping cart option to pay for it. You will have a hand option, which is to just give it to you for no cost. And then when we buy it, now we have the option for the $, meaning we can sell it back. We can sell it back for the same price that we bought it for. You'll also have a trash can option after we're done with character creation to just delete that item without getting any money back. So if you're running through updating your character and you accidentally give yourself something that you didn't mean to give yourself, you can just delete it. If you actually accidentally buy something that you decided you didn't want to buy, you can sell it back. So weapon, we're doing the Warhammer for 10 gold pieces. Do we want a crossbow? Do we want a dagger? Do we want any other weapon? We got an ad break starting. I'm just going to go back and check through and make sure we didn't miss anything yet while that ad break is running. Priest should have a dagger. I think every character should have a dagger. I mean, the kind of setting that you're playing in, I mean, think medieval, Dark Ages, Renaissance, whatever you want to think. Post-apocalyptic. I mean, a dagger, everybody carried a knife, right? A belt knife or something like that. So a dagger is kind of like, it's as much of a tool as it is a weapon. So I always suggest a dagger. But also, you'll probably be able to pick a dagger off of the first thing that you kill. More than likely. But you never know. So choose what you wish to choose. So do we want to add the dagger for 1 gold piece? We can always sell it if we choose not to. Welcome back from the ad break, everybody. And so we now have used 9 of our 16 gear slots. And we have 27 gold pieces left. Let's look at armor. So we took a two-handed warhammer, so we do not want to buy a shield. That would be a waste of money at this point in time. The only armor that we can afford is leather armor, so we might as well buy that for 10 gold pieces. Because we have a priest with a high strength and a warhammer, and they're going to be getting in there, even if they're not standing out front being tanky. They're going to have to get in to the tanky people that have taken damage so that they can heal them with that cure wounds spell. So, all right, we got our armor, and now we can look at our basic gear. We have 6 slots left. Basic gear. We didn't buy a crossbow. I don't know. Can we afford a crossbow at this point in time? Crossbow, 8 gold pieces. We can afford a crossbow. Crossbow's 8 gold pieces, and the crossbow bolts are another 1 gold piece. You can carry 20 of those per 1 slot. Let me know if you guys want a crossbow. Otherwise, other things that we can buy here would be a flask or a bottle. That would be so that you can put something in it should you find something that qualifies for that. We already have a flint and steel. This number in parentheses is showing us what we are, how many we already have. The number in brackets tells you how many you get to put in 1 slot. So, except for this caltrops thing, this is in parentheses. We do not have 1 bag of caltrops. That they should have put that in brackets. Crowbar, good for opening doors and chests and things like that. Not really a priest's purview. Probably, I mean, anybody can use a crowbar to open anything, but typically that's a thief thing. You can buy a lantern for 5 gold pieces. You have to buy oil. A flask of oil is 5 silver pieces per flask, and 1 flask of oil will fuel your lantern for 1 hour. There are some, like I played a Shadow Dark tournament, and the setting for the game in the tournament was something called the Shadow Realm. And the Shadow Realm's effect was that torches lasted half the time that they normally last. So they only lasted 30 minutes, 7 hour. Lantern oil would have only lasted 30 minutes. Light spells only lasted 30 minutes. But typically, a flask of oil or a torch will last an hour. There's no real benefit or negative to a torch. It doesn't, or to a torch versus a lantern. It doesn't last longer. It's just a flavor thing for the most part, as far as I understand. A pole. This is a 10-foot long pole. This is a very tropey thing for these old school dungeon crawlers. It would actually be really useful in any TTRPG game where you're worried about traps. Adventurers go through a dungeon and they use this 10-foot long pole to prod the ground and the walls and things in the ceilings in front of them before they step into that space to see if there's any trap there that's going to be triggered by the pole. Poles don't necessarily trigger all traps, but they're very useful for the situation. You can also have 2 people carry the pole between them and tie things to the pole. If you had 2 poles, you could make a litter for carrying out a wounded companion, things like that. Rations, you get 3. We have 1 set of rations, so we have 3 rations. This is like your daily rations. So that's 3 days worth of food that you've got. We have a 60-foot rope already. We have 2 torches. The torches are 5 silver pieces each. And 1 torch takes up 1 slot. If we sold these 2 torches, we could buy 2 flasks of oil and then another 5 gold pieces on a lantern if you wanted a lantern instead of torches. We don't have a bow, so we don't need to worry about arrows. Does everybody know what caltrops are? Caltrops are little things that you throw on the ground. There's a variety of different configurations that they're made in, but imagine a jack like from the game, the old school game jacks, like something that stands up so it's point up, and when somebody steps on it, it pierces their foot, right? So you can like throw those in front of doorways so that when somebody comes in, they step on them, they take damage. Also, if they're trying to sneak around and they stepped on it, they'd probably cry out in pain when they did that kind of thing. Mirror is good for personal care, but also in a dungeon, its use is like putting it using it to see around corners with and stuff like that. So you're not sticking your head out there. And that's it. That's all your basic gear. I'm sure there's probably different names for it. I can't imagine that it doesn't exist. Yeah, if you do a quick internet search for the game of Jacks, it's a classic playground skill game with a small bouncy ball and 10 or more small 6-pronged pieces called jacks. Players scatter the jacks on a flat surface, toss the ball into the air, pick up a designated number of jacks, and catch the ball after one bounce. So you throw the ball in the air, you start picking up your jacks, and then you can let the ball bounce one time, and then you have to catch the ball and then to be able to score. So all right. So that's it for equipment. Nobody's sounding off about any other equipment they want. So we now have a backpack, a flint and steel, a grappling hook, 10 iron spikes, 3 days worth of rations, 60-foot rope, 2 torches, a dagger, a warhammer, and leather armor. We're using 10 of our 16 gear slots. So we have 6 gear slots left for loot and other things that we pick up while we're going through the dungeon. We need to pick a name. And that's it. So we have a random, but we didn't use this random generator last time. I guess I overlooked it. We just went to the internet and typed in fantasy name generator and then chose according to race. We can enter our own name. So if anybody has an idea for this, shout it out. Otherwise, let's see what they give us here. Let's roll a 20-sided die. And we're going to click the random button that number of times. Who's internet defined by a set of jacks? Are you having some nostalgia, Jubo? Did you play jacks as a child? I did. So we're going to roll this 20-sider. We're going to hit this random button that number of times and see what we come up with. 18. We're going to hit the button 18 times, folks. 100%. I was really good at it. Awesome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Sund. Great for eye-hand coordination. Right. Your eye-band coordination, which is clearly still really holding up based on your typing. I know. Ben's in your lap. It's okay. I'm just giving you shit. Okay. Now, so our name is Sund, unless somebody wants to change it. You know what? Let's go to... Let me open another window. And dwarf name generator. So there's a website called fantasynamegenerators.com. I have never in my, I don't know how many years of internet access tabletop role-playing game experience, found a name generator that I've liked. Fantasynamegenerators.com is the first one that's going to come up, and we're not going to use that one. We're going to try this new one that I've never seen before, thievesguild.cc, for realistic dwarven names. Generator, dwarven names, Do we want dwarven names realistic or dwarven names descriptive? Here, we're going to grab this and move it over here. Okay, so the first one that comes up is Deagle Headlier. So these are realistic names. Let's see what the descriptive names look like. Ilral Ironwrath. Underbuckle. Grey Shield. I like these ones better. Alright, so let's see how many times we're going to roll this. Okay, so we have female names or male names. So I want chat to pick high or low. 51 to 100 is going to be female name, and 1 to 50 is going to be a male name, which also will dictate the gender of our character. So all right, so high we got 87. So we're going to do a female name and descriptive dwarven name. I don't know what's... Okay, yeah, we need to click on the one that we want. All right. And we're going to see how many times we're going to roll for this. $14. Stop me if you hear a name that you like. Opu Underspine. Mikey Metalmorn. Heta Iron Axe, or Honor Axe, sorry. Brynnia Blue Dawn. Melikai Mountain Digger. Ainla Earthbreaker. Ritva Rubybringer. Aini Ash Eyes. Sanika Sapphire Flame, that's a mouthful. Tishnurna Tower Gauntlet. Tower Gauntlet sounds dumb. Mila Mace Fury. We're going to snooze that ad. Inari Iron Ember. Sigrid Stonespine. Mira Mithril Spine. Bulsara Stone Boot. Heta Honor Axe. Sounds good to me. Ooh, with no E. I like your style, Jubo. All right. So we have... Oh, Sprout's like Sigrid Stonespine. Do we have a tiebreaker? We didn't go the full 14 either. Azabel Ash Eyes. I don't like that Ash Eyes last name. Bellamora Burnhelm. Burnhelm is a fun last name. Obviously no E, right? Glaive Toe? No. Makes it sound like she doesn't clip her toenails. All right, so we're gonna stick with Hedda. I didn't spell it with 2 T's. There we go. Hedda Honor Axe. So we have Hedda Honor Axe, the chaotic follower of the Lost, with a 16 strength, 14 dexterity, 10 constitution, 15 intelligence, 15 wisdom, 11 charisma. I didn't mention before, charisma is like your force of personality. A lot of TTRPG players think that your charisma dictates how physically good looking your character is. That is not the case. You can be ugly as a stone and still be super charismatic. So keep that in mind. In the past, some games have added an optional 7th score called comeliness. That was your physical good looks. We have 8 hit points. We rolled max hit points, and we got +2 for being a dwarf. We have a 13 armor class. We're wearing leather armor, which gives us an 11. Base armor class is always 10 plus dexterity. And we have leather armor, which ups that base armor class to an 11 plus dexterity for our 13. We can use clubs, crossbows, daggers, longswords, maces, staves, and warhammers. We can use chainmail, leather, mithril chainmail, mithril plate mail, mithril shield, mithril or plate mail, and shield. We speak common, dwarvish, and primordial. We can cast Cure Wounds Light and Turn Undead. Charisma would be used for persuasiveness, but that's why I say it's like force of personality. It's like charisma can be used for intimidation, to intimidate somebody, or it can be used for persuasion, to persuade them, to kindly persuade them to get them to do what you want to. Like, intimidation is slamming somebody against the wall and holding a knife to their throat, and then being able to seem serious enough that you're willing to hurt them. And persuasion is telling them that you're going to hurt them, or telling them all the good things that are going to happen if they listen to you. Something like that. Those are just a couple examples. Secret Honor Axe. It's up to you guys. 100% up to you guys. So here's that title we were talking about. You are an initiate. Let's go back to... Oh, here was another. So here was the dwarf. There's a name generator in the Shadow Dark book. And it had 20 names you could have rolled from that look like they are a mix of male and female. But that's all right. We're good with what we got. Like I said, you guys make the call. If you don't tell me something specific, then I'll leave it where it's at. So there's that title. I was looking for those titles in here. Going the wrong way. Titles, priest titles. So because we are chaotic, our title is initiate. If we were neutral, we would be a seeker. If we were lawful, we would be an acolyte. When we level up to 3rd or 4th level, we'll become a zealot, then a cultist, then a scourge, then a chaos knight. 1 second. Okay, sorry. I put ribs on the smoker today before I started this stream, and my son has been asking me about them for days, and he just came down and asked when they were going to be done. I said, they'll be done in time for dinner. He said, but not lunch. He said, nope, not lunch. I think he's hungry for ribs. So those are the titles available to us at this point in time. So you'll see over here that it only goes from levels 1 to 10. That's max level for Shadow Dark characters is level 10. Now, there's another game that I have resources for in the Dungeoneers Guild Discord server called Draw Steel. The difference between these two games, the primary difference is Shadow Dark is what I would call a dark, gritty dungeon crawler with an old school lean. And then again, ad break right now. So, is there? I guess that's not a question anybody can answer right now. But the other game is Draw Steel. Draw Steel is a heroic game, meaning it's kind of like your characters have more of a superhero feel to them. They have a lot more abilities at their disposal that are kind of fantastical and magical and superhero feeling. Whereas Shadow Dark relies as much on your gear and your character knowledge and use of tactics as it does your spells and your magic weapons and things like that, and your talents. So what I would like to do, because I want to create these overarching campaigns for people in the Discord server in the Dungeoneers Guild, I would like to see somebody play Shadow Dark characters from level 1 to 10, and then have that character at 10th level, if they want to carry on and play it, translate it to a Draw Steel character, or even a Dungeons and Dragons character or something like that. I would prefer to stick with Draw Steel for personal reasons. But I would like to, and I say personal reasons, I don't mean that you can't ask me about that. But it's more, I guess, more political reasons than anything. If I can't think of a better way to say that, not necessarily political. But anyways, I would like to have you translate your 10th level Shadow Dark character into a slightly lower level Draw Steel character, and then kind of have them take on the bigger problems in the world. And then also what I'm doing for my first Shadow Dark campaign, I'm starting with a 0 level meat grinder adventure, also known as a death funnel. What that means is each player starts with a stack of character sheets and of 0 level characters, and they play them through this single session adventure, which is highly deadly. It'll probably be like a big battle or something like that, or like a highly deadly dungeon. And then the surviving characters, usually you do a 0 level meat grinder, and then each player starts with 4 characters, and whichever character survives is the character they level up to level 1 and then start a campaign with. Yeah, Draw Steel is less gritty, Sprouts, because your characters are way more robust and harder to kill than they are in a game like Shadow Dark. Yeah. Gritty meaning like also like Shadow Dark isn't a horror game, but it's got that gritty feel. Like you're kind of always in a dungeon. You're always like fighting these monsters that you're not very likely to come up to an encounter where you're gonna be like, oh, this is gonna be easy. I can take 20 goblins out by myself, no big deal. Every encounter is gonna be like you're gonna start by going, we should try to avoid this encounter, but we might have to take this monster out so that they don't come up behind us later. You're always making these decisions based on whether, like, how many hit points you have, how many how much equipment you have and how strong your character is in the moment. And then even while you're going through that fight, you're trying to decide whether or not you should retreat or if you still have a chance to win. And like retreat is always an option. Talking your way out of something is always an option. Avoiding something is always an option. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to telegraph as a game master. I'm going to telegraph whether or not you should try to get away from this encounter or not. But ultimately, I'm leaving that up to the characters and up to the players, and know that if you make the wrong decision, I'm not going to pull the punches when your character dies. That's where the grittiness comes in. I'm also I play Draw Steel the same way. I play Dungeons and Dragons the same way, but your characters have a lot more. Their deck of cards for their abilities is much more stacked than a Shadow Dark character is. You have a whole lot more, tricks, a much bigger bag of tricks to pull from in a game like Draw Steel. So the meat grinder that I'm going to run for this next one, Jubo's playing in this adventure, as well as some other people that you might know. But the adventure is going to start out with this 0-level meat grinder, and instead of them playing their own characters that they've already made up that they're kind of invested in and want to play, I'm going to give them a stack of NPCs to go through. And if the NPC dies, the NPC is out. You'll never see them again. But at the end of the adventure, whatever NPCs are left in the stack and whichever ones have survived the dungeon will join their group as NPCs. And then you'll be able to level those NPCs up as you go too, because they're always going to have this starting town that they go back to after each adventure, after each dungeon. And then so they can level up their blacksmith so that he can make them better weapons and repair their weapons more successfully and things like that. And leather workers and herbalists and maybe a spellcaster to help identify magic items and stuff like that. So I like this idea of kind of 3 games in one. You've got your Shadow Dark character that you're trying to work up to level 10 to make them this more heroic character that might be like a lord or a lady, like a deeded nobility person once they get up to that 10th level, and then they can transition into the second game of Draw Steel. And then the third game is kind of like your base building and your NPC leveling up to make your home base more powerful and able to support you more. But all that's going to be done, like a lot of that NPC stuff is going to be done in downtime. Like after we play a session, if let's say we're playing one session a month, you can contact me between sessions and say, I want to have an encounter with the blacksmith and commission them to make me a better weapon. And then we can kind of text back and forth in a Discord channel about that interaction, about that encounter with the blacksmith, or whatever other NPC you're dealing with. Or if you're a wizard, you might say, I want to create my own magic item, and that's going to be done during downtime between adventures. Things like that. So, all right, so we're going to take this character, we're going to save. Now the character is saved, and these are our export options. So I would recommend exporting it in a form fillable PDF. That way you can go back and when you're playing, if you're playing at a table with, at a physical game, so to speak, and you're meeting other players at the same table in the same physical space, then you can print this character sheet off and you can mark it up while you're at the table, and then you can come back to your computer and you can update the form fillable PDF. If you're going to be playing online through a virtual tabletop in Discord and things like that, which is like what Jubo will be doing with me, what hopefully Sprouts will be doing with me in the future, and anybody else that wants to, then you're also going to want to export to a JSON file. And then when you go to the Dungeoneers Discord, the Dungeoneers Guild Discord server, you will go to the list. The channel is called the lists, and you will create a thread there, and you will within the thread you will create a post with the character's name. You will create a single post for each character within your thread. It will start with the character's name, and then you will fill out there's a copy paste thing, and you can copy it into your thread post, swap out the relevant information to your own character's information, attach the PDF file, the form fillable PDF file, and attach the exported JSON file. I use the JSON file and I put it into Foundry VTT, which Miriak Firmax has been kind enough to loan me a license for his VTT, for his Foundry VTT. And then that's what we use for maps in an online game. So export both the form fillable and the JSON file, and then include those in your character thread. So we'll do PDF, and then, all right, we got that. And then this is what the character sheet looks like. Usually these are done full sheet, landscape style, front and back. But sometimes if you're playing more than one character, or if you just want to kind of streamline, you can do it portrait style, and you can do the first page at the top half of the page and the second page at the bottom half of the page. But all your information is here. Obviously, this is going to get bigger and bigger as you level up your character and add more talents and more spells and things like that. So, but everything is here. You'll notice over here in your gear slots, it shows 20 gear slots. 17 through 20 are X'd out because we have a 16 strength, so we only have 16 gear slots available to us. And there's this box over here that says free to carry. Your bag of coins is always free to carry. Up here you'll have your gold, your silver, and your copper piece breakdown. We have 17 gold pieces left. And then your backpack is free to carry. This essentially represents your backpack, these 16 slots. And then your holy symbol is free to carry. Assume that you're wearing it around your neck, or it's attached to your shield, or something like that, hanging from your belt, whatever, however you see fit. Over here under attacks, you have a dagger, and you have a warhammer, and you have some spells. So it's giving you the breakdown. You have a +3 to hit with your dagger at near range, and it does 1d4 damage. Warhammer, you have +3 to hit with it, and you do 1d10 damage. Spells, this says to cast priest spells, roll 1d20 +2 versus a DC equal to 10 plus the spells tier. So this is why you have to roll this check. Number one, you have to see if the spell fails. Okay, so if you're casting a first level spell or first tier spell, you have to roll an 11 or higher. You have to meet or beat the DC. So 10 plus 1 is 11. You have to meet or beat an 11. Roll 11 or higher to succeed at casting your spell. If you roll a 10 or lower and fail at casting that spell, or if it's a tier 3 spell, then that's going to be 13. You'd have to roll, if you rolled a 12 or lower, you fail to cast the spell. You lose the ability to cast that spell until you rest, until you take a long rest. Meaning you have to go back to a safe place and sleep for the night. So otherwise, you can continue casting your spells repeatedly until you fail the spell check. So if you're casting Cure Wounds, you've cast it 10 times successfully in the dungeon, and on the 11th time, you roll a 4 and you fail your spellcasting check, then you lose the ability to cast that spell for the rest of the adventure, or until you manage to take a long rest. Dungeons are dangerous to rest in, so possibly you're losing it for the rest of the adventure. But as long as you keep succeeding, you can keep casting it. Now, there is a such thing as luck tokens in Shadowdark, and you can take those luck tokens and I like to start everybody off with 1 luck token at the beginning of the adventure. You can earn more luck tokens for doing epic shit in the adventure. Like if you roll a critical success on an attack roll, I might give you a luck token for that. If you do, just it's game master's discretion to award you a luck token, but you can have as many luck. Some people say that you can only have 1 luck token at a time. I will let you earn as many luck tokens as you can in an adventure. At the start of the next adventure, the next session, you will lose all of your luck tokens and you will start with 1 again. So don't try to hoard them. Don't try to save them. Go ahead and use them. The more you're using them, the more I will remember to award more. So, and you can also share your luck tokens. So if you've got 4 people at the table and you've used your luck token and you cast your Cure Wounds spell and you fail it, and you're going to lose that spell, somebody else could give you their luck token because they don't want you to lose that Cure Wounds spell. It might save their life. So you can give other people your luck tokens. And then what else? Yeah, so that's luck tokens. That's spell casting. Remember, light sources last for an hour, and after that, you don't have dark vision, so you're literally stumbling around in the dark if you don't light a torch off of the torch that's about to die. There's also things that can happen in the dungeon, like somebody can cast a spell and extinguish all light sources. A magical wind can rip through the dungeon and extinguish all light sources. Somebody could kick over your lantern, or you could fall and drop your lantern and you could lose that light source. So all things to think about. Any questions about the first character creation? Let's go back to the generator. And we're going to save and exit. And then we're going to go back into that character. I want to go to the equipment list. Okay, so basic gear. So now you can see all these other icons that we have here. So we'll do iron spikes. So let's say you finished your adventure and you used 4 of your iron spikes. You lost them for some reason. This says loot gain for no cost. This is your discard or lose with no money gained. So if you used 4 of those and weren't able to retrieve them, that did the whole thing. That's not cool. We'll give them back. There should be a way that you can change this to a 4, but you might just have to note it on your character sheet or on a note. But if you lost all 10 of your iron spikes, you'd hit that. If you wanted to buy more iron spikes, you'd hit the shopping cart. If you decided, I'm not using these iron spikes, I should sell them and get 1 gold piece back so that I can buy another torch, then you would hit the money, the $. So a lantern's flame could be protected from wind, but I can tell you from personal experience, camping, real life experience, the wind can blow hard enough to blow your lantern out, or it could blow hard enough to knock your lantern over and break your lantern, and then not only did your lantern go out, but you also can't relight it. So all things to think about and keep in mind. A wind might blow through the dungeon that blows torches out but doesn't blow a lantern out. That's absolutely possible. But also possible for the wind to blow through and blow out all the torches and the lantern. So Okay, so that's that character created. Now we are going to make some NPCs, and we're still open to chat here, everybody. So don't don't be afraid to ask questions. Okay, so we will go back to the beginning of the character section. All right, so we made a priest. Last time we made a, what was Kesh? Kesh was a goblin fighter, so we made a fighter last time. Doesn't mean we can't make another fighter, right? I also made a bunch of NPCs last time. Let me find those. We made Bardenor Understone, a dwarf minstrel that follows Geed. We made Karnala Axebraid, a dwarf herbalist that follows the Lost. We made Kenna, the human wizard's apprentice that follows Ord. I believe that she would, yes. Tyler was a priest. I do believe she would follow the traveler. So these are 0 level characters. So these are just backgrounds. So an herbalist would be somebody who grows, and that's all right. No worries. Like I said, ask all the questions. Nothing that is associated with a TTRPG is out of bounds here. But an herbalist is a, well, let's go here. And let's go to the backgrounds. If I can find the backgrounds. I think I went past them. Stats, ancestry, fighter, backgrounds. So herbalist, you know plants, medicines, and poisons. So you can grow the plants. You can harvest. You know how to harvest the plants. You know which parts are used for medicines and poisons, and you know how to administer them. Meaning you know that somebody should drink a cup of this type of tea to help with headaches or something like that. So this is a good background to go along with a priest, but also could be helpful in healing to somebody that, like, I would give you, if you were trying to do first aid on a character, and you weren't a priest, so you couldn't cast a spell to heal them. If you were an herbalist for your background, I would give you some type of a bonus. Like maybe I would let you add your wisdom bonus to the roll, or your intelligence bonus to the roll, or maybe I would give you advantage on the roll if you were an herbalist. As a soldier, you served as a fighter in an organized army. So everybody thinks that just makes you a better fighter. No, that doesn't make you a better fighter necessarily. But the key here in my mind is organized army. So you would be like, you might be the person in your group that gets a benefit on planning what supplies you need for a journey or something to that effect. Ranger, the woods and wilds are your true home. You're going to get a benefit to tracking or to foraging or to hunting. Scout, you survived on stealth, observation, and speed. I'd probably allow you to add your dexterity bonus to your stealth rolls if you weren't a thief, if you had the scout background. Minstrel, you traveled far with your charm and talent. I might give you a bonus on your performance checks, and I would give you would give you bonuses to singing or storytelling, or would let you be proficient in a musical instrument, things like that. So we've got 2 more that we made. So you notice we have 1 human here so far and a bunch of dwarves. Corlig Smeltknuckle is a dwarf barbarian that follows Ramlot. Yes, Ramlot is a god that a lot of orcs worship, but he's also the barbarian god. It's kind of like the chaotic god that would rule over like the spirit of battle and things like that. And then the last one we made, actually the first one we made last time, was Thercath Goodstride, a halfling acolyte, who follows Geed. So I gave less of a chance to have non-dwarf characters. These characters are being made for the Meat Grinder Death Funnel adventure that I'm going to run for my first Shadow Dark group through the Dungeoneers Guild. And so these are the NPCs that are going to make up their kind of starting town, whichever one survived the Meat Grinder. So most of them need to be dwarves, because that campaign that I'm running is going to be kind of a Shadow Dark analog of Return to Moria. Not going to be set in Middle Earth. It's going to be set in my own homebrew setting. But essentially it's going to be a take back an ancestral home type of campaign. Based strongly with dwarves. But I told the players that I would allow 1 in 4 players to play a non-dwarf. But anybody that played an elf would have a disadvantage on interactions with dwarves. So let's close these down.
Send in the goats!
That's right. Dwarves do rule Miriak. Alright, so welcome in, Miriak. Hope work's going well today. What are we linking Tyler to? I gotta see. Oh, the Relevant Traveler Club. Okay. Nope, needed a break and saw you were on. Missed you and Jubo yesterday. Yeah, we had to start round 3 of the death race yesterday. We're tied 1-1. This is the final round. Okay, so get ready to call out your choices, chat, because we're doing a 0 level character this time. Some games begin with 0 level characters. Weak peasants who have not yet attained the skills required to be adventurers. 0 level characters are fragile. GMs should see the gauntlet on page 116 for more insight. Because 0 level characters have beginner's luck, they can wield all gear until first level. So they're not limited to certain weapons or anything like that. At first level, they will then be limited to whatever their class is limited to. So we're going to do stats. We're going to do choice of ancestry. Their hit points are going to be equal to their constitution modifier with a minimum of 1. And then you choose a background, you choose your alignment, and you choose your starting gear. The 0 level characters reach first level after surviving their first adventure. All right. Remember, feel free to ask questions at any point in time. All right, we need to get our 6-siders out and roll our stats. 3d6 down the line. And we have, wow, we have a 16. So 16 strength. That's a plus. +3 for the modifier. Dexterity up next. Ooh, that's a 5. Strong but clumsy. So that's a -3 to the modifier. Now remember, if you roll a set of stats and you don't have at least 114 or higher, you get to re-roll, but we've already got that 16, so we're stuck with whatever we get here. And we've got a 8 Constitution. So that means this character is going to have a 1 hit point. And they get a -1 to Constitution checks. Intelligence. We got a 16 intelligence. So +3 there. Wisdom. And we got a 10 wisdom. No modifier. And charisma. We got a 15 charisma. Decisions. I mean, we're probably going to leave it to a random die roll if I know my chat so far. So +2 for charisma. And ancestry. So we will do, for ancestry, I will allow dwarf, elf, halfling, or human. So we're going to roll a 1d4. Actually, we're going to roll 1d6. 4, 5, and 6 is going to be a dwarf. So we're going to roll 2 6s and let chat choose. Ooh, Sprout says halfling. Halfling with a 16 strength. That'd be wild. Although, 16 strength and a 15 charisma is... no, it's not Samwise. Never mind. Yep, Mirac says wizard spellcaster. Do we want to pick or do we want to roll? I'm going to roll. If you guys want to pick instead, you can pick. So you're choosing either gold or blue. Gold or blue. Halfling that got raised by dwarves. Mirac says gold. Always gold. All right, so gold is a 1, but we said 4, 5, and 6 is dwarf. So we just rolled an elf, folks. I'm sorry. Sorry that I even made it an option. So they get the Farsight ability, which is you get a +1 bonus to attack rolls with ranged weapons or a +1 bonus to spellcasting checks, which is good since we have a 16 intelligence, and if we don't roll it, we're going to end up with a wizard. And then... your day is not giving. That's right. We have plenty more characters to make. The next one will automatically be a dwarf because we got a non-dwarf roll this time. So... all right, and they know Sylvan, Common, and Elvish languages. Did you hear that the music got a little bit ominous when we rolled an elf? All right. Ancestry. Elf. Well, actually, it's 0 level, so we're not rolling a class. We're rolling a background next. They're going to have 1 hit point. And they're going to have a 10 armor class because we're not giving them armor. Because these are peasants, right? So, level 0. I believe background is going to be next. Yep, background. All right, we're rolling 2d20. You guys get to pick white or blue. White or blue for a background. Jubo says white. I'm going to snooze that ad that's coming up. Anybody else? White or blue? Miriak says trust Jubo. So we rolled a 9 on the white die. So it's herbalist, which I think is fair for a intelligent character. And then chaotic, lawful, or neutral. So we're going to roll those d6s again. We're back to the blue and gold option. Blue or gold for alignment. 1 and 2 is chaotic, 3 and 4 is lawful, 5 and 6 is neutral. Blue or gold? Good. I assume you meant gold. Give it a second chance. And Miriak said always gold before, so unless somebody else weighs in. All right, so gold is chaotic. So deity, if we're hoping that this character becomes a wizard, then Shun the Vile would be a good chaotic deity for her to have, or for this character to have. I guess I don't know if it's male or female yet. Yep, Juba wanted Shun, so that's good. Rick says, I'm a dwarf, I'm always going to want gold. That's fair. Juba says, but she's an elf, so she's going to die. Well, I mean, the chaos might save her. All right, so now we need a name. Well, we don't need a name yet. Next is starting gear. So if you're doing a 0 level character, you roll 1d4, and then you roll that number of times and get that number of items off of this gear list. So I want to streamline this a little bit. So we're just going to roll a single d4 and see what we get. 2 items. I will roll multiple d12s to let chat choose. Can't do 2 blues. Blue and purple are your choices. Blue and purple. Roll doubles. All right, blue or purple? Purple. Anybody else? How about we do purple this time, and next time we'll do blue. So 11 is a club. That's kind of weird, but we'll take it. They have a 16, so we gotta X out. Okay, club, and then rolling again for our second piece of gear. And we said we were doing blue this time, so that's a pole. 10-foot pole. All right. And I think that's all we're picking for. Let's see, elf names. We'll roll off this list right here. And I'll see what the name generator gives us too, so. We got a 3, which is Sariel. Or Kevinost Agarvran. What do you guys think? The Shadow Dark name generator or the Elven name generator? I think Sariel is easier to manage. What do you guys? Noriel Phaedra Kirin. Okay. I like it. Fair. I like it. Yeah, Sariel is yeah. A little on the nose for a Lord of the Rings style game, right? Alright. So there we have it. Noriel Phaedra Kirin, the elven herbalist, worshipper of Shun the Vile, with a club and a 10-foot pole. So we will save. The equipment is pretty hilarious. It is. It is. We can close that. I already saved. No, we're canceling that. We're not. There we go. Okay, and open up another. Exactly, right. Why not a club? Nope, we're not giving anybody because they're peasants. So they're essentially peasants at this point in time. They're not adventurers. They're not soldiers. They're not part of an army. So no armor for them because I don't imagine they would. I don't imagine a elven herbalist would have purchased armor. Yeah, they have clothes, but we assume everybody has clothes. So I've done in the past. I typically say if you don't have clothes in your equipment list, then that means you're running around naked. But with the way gear slots work in Shadow Dark, we're not doing that. We're not using up gear slots. So if somebody wants to put in their free to carry to describe the clothes that they're wearing, they're welcome to do that. So next character, this one we already know is going to be a dwarf, 0 level, and starting with that strength. And we got a 15. Nice. We're not king shaming, but clothes in a game like Shadow Dark are protective. Even the simplest of clothes are going to provide some protection. And you can assume whatever you want, but that's not going to change the reality of what the person says their character is wearing. So 15 plus 2 onto dexterity. I am going to wrap this up here in the next 30 minutes, so just so everybody's aware. See how many characters we can crank out between now and then. Dexterity is an 8. That's a -1. Constitution. Now, dwarves get advantage on rolling hit points and get +2 to hit points. So even if he doesn't get a bonus for his constitution, then we're still going to end up with at least 3 hit points. But we have a 17 constitution, which is pretty awesome. So that's a +3. With a 15 strength, I think whoever picks this character be crazy not to level up into a fighter. Unless they get a really high wisdom, then leveling up to a priest would be a good idea. Thanks for the bits. While you're talking about bits, Sprouts. Intelligence, 9. -1. Wisdom. Juba says exactly. I'm naked -5 right now. Whoa. 8, 9, 10 for wisdom. So there goes that priest idea. It's a 0 modifier. Charisma. Charisma is an 11, which is still a 0 modifier. Okay, so those hit points are going to be charisma modifier +2 for being a dwarf, so that's 5 hit points. The socks count as 1 each, then I'm at a -6. I don't understand how the math is working on this, guys. All right, where are we at next? We need to figure out our background. All right, rolling that 2d20. You guys are picking blue or white. If it helps, Miriak, the white has gold numbers. Blue or white? The math is RNG, right? Jubo says white. Rolling for our background, blue or white. Need at least one more person to sound off. Blue or white? All right, we have white. Meath says blue. If I'm not giving Poppy a vote, I can't give Meath a vote. We got Acolyte. You are well trained in religious rites and doctrines. So if this character is heavily leaning fighter with that high strength and high charisma, or high constitution, you could view this character as a monk with that Acolyte background. It's up to whoever's playing it, of course, but no dexterity bonus, so we have a 10 armor class. Level 0. Alignment. Chaotic, lawful, or neutral. So again, blue or gold, blue or gold. Doesn't matter, they're both the same because we're rolling a d6 for a d3 choice. So we got neutral. So neutral gods are Geed, the god of feasts, mirth, and the wilds. Geed is usually peaceful, but primal storms rage when her anger arises. Many elves and halflings worship her. Ord is the unbending, the wise, the secret keeper. He is the god of magic, knowledge, secrets, and equilibrium. Is that it? Just 2? Yep, just the 2, or we have the lost. 2 of the 9 are lost to the ages, their names expunged from history and memory, yet their whispered legend lives on in the ancient texts and forgotten places. A dwarf follower of Geed. Not unheard of. Anybody else have a choice? As far as dwarves go, neutral dwarf gods go, Ord always speaks to me because of the secret keeper designation and knowledge. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I think we go with Ord. Rolling is fun, but we don't have to roll every time. Honestly, if I was making a character for myself, I would not be rolling. I would be picking everything. Ord. We gotta go back to dwarf. Stout. And they know common and dwarvish. And now we're moving on to equipment. Starting gear. So we're going to roll that 1d4. He gets to start with 3 pieces of gear. So I need to grab another d12. Or no, I don't. We're rolling 2 at a time and letting chat pick. So purple or blue? Purple or blue for your first of 3 pieces of equipment. Purple? Anybody else? Purple or blue? Blue or purple? We'll call that purple. So iron spikes. People are like, why do I need all these iron spikes? So a traditional use for iron spikes in a dungeon, besides helping with rope climbing, like setting spikes in the walls to hook your ropes to, you can take these iron spikes and you can shut the door to a room and you can spike the door shut. So it's harder for monsters to get it open, to give you a little bit of a reprieve and a rest. So make your ability to rest more likely to succeed. All right. Piece 2, blue or purple? Or you know what? Blue, purple, with a mystery color. No, those are wooden spikes, Jubo. Iron spikes don't work on Dracula. Jubo says mystery. Mystery. And that is 5. So now we have a 60-foot rope, which makes the iron spikes a little bit more reasonable to be carrying around. I mean, you can try to use an iron spike on your enemies. I'd probably say that it does the same amount of damage as a dagger, or maybe dagger does 1d4, maybe an iron spike does 1d3. Because they're not quite as big as a dagger, usually more knife-sized. All right. Blue, purple, or mystery for the third and final piece of equipment. Stick them under their fingernails or something. Damn it, Tyler. Now my fingers hurt. Mystery. Mystery is a 9. We have a flint and steel. That's good. You can light a torch that you don't have. All right. Now we need a name. Dwarf name generator, descriptive, male names. Come on. Oh, it's giving me the whole thing down. All right, I see. Okay. Underdim sounds very stupid. It does. It does. With a 9 intelligence, it's not very stupid, but it's not intelligent. Deep belch. I would not pronounce it Ushat, Jubo. I would pronounce it Ushat. Because I don't like funny names. But that's just me. No judgment on anybody that likes funny names. I don't really like any of these names. So let's do the blue or white on the Shadow Dark name generator for dwarves. This will also choose the gender of said dwarf. Blue. Blue. That's 5. So we have Karina. I don't like that name. Sorry, folks. We're going to re-roll the blue die. 2 and 9. Elga's good. All right. So we have a level 0 dwarf acolyte named Elga. Let's save this one. Old Elga, that's right. Don't save. All right, we got time for one more, maybe 2 more if we're quick. I now want to play a Dwarven Barbarian called Elga. That'd be awesome. That would be fun. All right, here we go. Scores for our next character. Do we want to make something else? Or do we just want to make another dwarf? Actually, we're going to do percentile dice. So D100 roll. I don't know if I'm going to stream any of it. At least not right away. I'm gonna need some time. I've never used a virtual tabletop before, and I've been practicing with it and trying it out. But I will definitely write. I'm gonna record it, and with permission from the players, use some voice clips and stuff like that for when I do a recap, like a session recap, which I will make a YouTube video for. All right, 32. I said anything below 50% would be a halfling. I know I didn't announce that. I apologize, but we're gonna make one halfling, and regardless of time, we will make another dwarf before we call it quits today. So 0 level. Halflings get stealthy. Once per day, you can turn invisible for 3 rounds, which is pretty awesome. I did this in one of the Shadow Dark games that I played with Miriak and Mrs. Fermax and my boys at the Origins Game Fair in Ohio, and it really helped me out. It saved my butt. Being able to turn invisible and use my crossbow from a distance. And languages common. Nope. All right, let's roll these scores. We got a 10 for strength, no modifier. Roll for dexterity. Oh man, we got an 18. This is the best roll you can get in this situation. Not 6 plus 4. Got a little crazy there. Constitution, we got a 12. That's nice. That's plus 1. Going to start off with more than 1 hit point. And I thought Woo Ju was the just the way Jubo said woohoo. And we got a 10 intelligence. No modifier. How many gear slots would a Wonder Keg take up? Although we'd need one. Well, that's just a magic item. I would say that it would just take up 1 gear slot. Or if you were going to make it a magic item, you could say that...
Let's give these bastards a good hammering!
If you're going to make it a magic item, the magic of it could be that it doesn't take up any gear slots. Or, and hear me out, you could buy a pack goat. All right, wisdom. We have a 15 wisdom. That's a plus 2 modifier. Hey, no problem, old school. How you doing today? I'm just making up some Shadow Dark characters for tabletop role playing. And we got to roll that charisma. Doing the old work and lurk. And the charisma is a 12.
Hello there!
Hey, Toby. Welcome in. Making up some Shadow Dark characters for some TTRPG sessions. If you guys want to join the Dungeoneers Guild, which is the server that I created for facilitating some tabletop role-playing game scheduling and all-around experiences, you can hit me up on my Discord server, and I will send you the invite to the private Discord server. Hit points, we get a 1. No, wait a minute. Am I doing that right? Yeah, you just get your Constitution modifier to a minimum of 1. So, sorry, only 1 hit point for this character. That could be ugly. Alignment. All right. Blue or gold, folks? Blue or gold? Gold. We know Miriak would say gold. Anybody else have a choice between blue or gold? To choose our alignment. Alignment will be with the 2 dice that I rolled. We're either getting lawful or chaotic. We'll just go with gold then. So gold is... Wait a minute. Yeah, gold is chaotic. No. Gold is lawful. All right. So, lawful. Halfling. Saint Taragnus. Legendary knight who is the patron of most lawful humans. She ascended to godhood long ago and is the embodiment of righteousness and justice. Or Madeira, the covenant. Madeira was the first manifestation of law. She carries every law of reality, a dictate called the covenant, written on her skin in precise symbols. Or you could pick the lost. 2 of the 9 are lost to the ages, their names expunged from history and memory. Yet their whispered legend lives on in the ancient texts in forgotten places. Do we roll? We roll. Blue or gold? Sprout says Madeira. Toby says Madeira. All right, sounds good. Madeira the Covenant. Lawful. And we need to, oh, that's in the wrong spot. But we do need to pick background next. Rolling those D20s. White or blue? White or blue? Or if you want to shout a background off the list that's on the screen, you can do that too. White or blue? Cody says white. Anybody else? Actually, white's really good with the ability scores that we have. I think that fits really well. Average the 2 numbers rolled. Well, it's either soldier or ranger then. But I like ranger. But that's not a terrible idea. Maybe that's what I'll do the next time I don't get an answer right away. All right, now we need to go to gear. All right, rolling that D4 to see how many pieces we get to pick. Yep, sloppy dice. Just bounce right out of the dice tray and onto the floor. Give me 1 second, folks. I would just grab another one and pick this one up later, but dogs, I don't need any dice. Calm down, Jubo. 4 pieces of gear. All right. Rolling those D12s. For the first piece of gear, blue, purple, or mystery. Jubo says mystery. We got 4 pieces of gear. We're just going to go with the mystery. Got a dagger. Next roll. Blue, gold, or I'm sorry, blue, purple, or mystery. Toby says blue. We got a short bow and 5 arrows, but they need to go into separate gear slots. That's still 3 pieces of gear. Actually, they list it on 1 slot, so we're just going to stick with that. Nope, not percent arrows, 5 arrows. I'm moving faster than you guys are shouting it out, and that's my fault, but I am trying to wrap this up, so I did promise 1 more dwarf after this. And 1 more piece of gear. That is okay, blue, purple, or mystery. So we're going purple this time. Which is flint and steel. And now we're going mystery. That one's cocked. It's not a good roll. Get rid of that. Come on. 60-foot rope. All right. And now we need a name. We're going to go straight to the Shadow Dark name generator for a halfling roll. Blue or white this time. It should be mystery according to Sprouts, so we'll just go with white, which is a 6. Hob. Hob the halfling. Now you want blue? Okay. Hob or Marie? Hob or Marie? I like Hob better. Marie's a little too mundane for me. Toby says Marie. We'll go with Marie. It was Sprouts' roll, so we'll go with Hob. All right, saving this. Mayrai. All right. Don't save. All right, last character for this stream. If we ever want to do more TTRPG streams that are just chat and while I make up characters, everybody feel free to shout, and I'll make it happen. Dwarf. Level 0. Okay, Sprouts, you'll have to remind me, though. Because I would like to schedule these ones instead of just doing random ones. Just shoot me a message on Discord. That will be a reminder enough. Because I won't look at it until I'm done tending to my ribs, and then I'll have time to enter something. Alright. Let's do ability scores. Eight. Ten. 10. 11. 7. That's 74. -2, right? Yep. Okay, if we don't get a 14 here, we're re-rolling all of them. I kind of hope, for this dwarf's sake, that we do get less than a 14. And we got an 11, so we're re-rolling all of them. Alright, here we go. Anything, if you don't end up with at least 114, you get to re-roll all of them if you want to. Alright, so we're just going to go backwards because we're already on charisma. 12. That's a +1. Wisdom. 16. +3. Intelligence. 10. Constitution. 17. Dexterity. 11. And strength. 14. +2. Okay, so stout means we get +2 hit points, and our constitution, so that's 5 hit points. Alignment. Gold or blue, folks. Gold or blue. Doubles. Choices between... The modifiers work, Toby. Like, your strength can be associated with an attack roll. So if you have a +2 to strength, you get +2 to your attack bonus when you roll the die for attack. Wisdom will get used for like priest spells, +3. So you roll a d20, you add that +3, and then that combined number has to meet or beat the difficulty class of the roll that you're making, or the armor class of the creature you're attacking. Strength is strength. Dexterity is agility, dexterity. Constitution is like your health, endurance, stamina. Intelligence is like book smarts, and wisdom is like street smarts. Charisma is force of personality. All right, we're doing gold, so we get to alignment. I think that's neutral. Yep, neutral. So alignment, neutral, deity. We have Geed, we have Ord, or we have the Lost. We'll roll for it. We rolled doubles, and that was a 2, so that would be 1, 2, 3. So we're going to do Ord again, which is what Sprouts is suggesting anyways, so that's good. Ord, the unbending, the wise, the secret keeper. He is the god of magic, knowledge, secrets, and equilibrium. Toby says Ord also. Perfect. And then background. All right. Gonna roll those 2d20s. You guys are gonna pick blue or white. Roll doubles. You know what? We rolled doubles. That's minstrel if we go down the line this way, but if we go down the line this way, it's cult initiate. I think minstrel is better for a neutral god than cult initiate is, but you guys choose. Minstrel, you've traveled far with your charm and talent. Cult initiate, you know blasphemous secret rituals. Minstrel, I would say you can either start with the singing skill, the storytelling skill, or a musical instrument skill. Minstrel, all right, that's kind of what I thought too. All right, now gear. All right, roll a d4 to see how many pieces of gear we're gonna get. Let's keep it on the table this time. 3 pieces of gear. I have 3 12-sided dice. We're gonna roll the 3 12-sided dice, and those are gonna be our 3 pieces of gear. How's that sound? Oh, we rolled doubles, so we're gonna re-roll those. All right, we got torch. We got wait a minute. Club. And we got an oil flask. Now, I've constantly been referring to the oil flask as fuel for the lantern. Obviously, it can be, it can just be used to light anything else on fire too, or thrown as a Molotov cocktail if you want to. We haven't been rolling for gold. I've been overlooking that. So we'll roll gold for this character, and I'll go back and do the gold for the other NPCs later. So 2d6 times 5. No, that's first level character. Nope, sorry. 0 level characters don't get gold. Armor class is 10. And now we need a name. Doing dwarf names. We got blue and we got white. Our last dwarf was named Elga, Toby. Let me show you that one quick while everybody else is thinking about names or looking at names on that list or choosing blue or white. Here's Elga. Elga is a dwarf acolyte with a 15 strength, 8 dexterity, 17 constitution, 9 intelligence, 10 wisdom, 11 charisma. She has 5 hit points. She's neutral and follows a horde. And she has 10 iron spikes, a 60-foot rope, and a flint and steel. All right, we've got blue, which was... Wait a minute. Blue... Yeah, blue was Isolde. So, there we go. Good teamwork. All right. There we go, everybody. Let me see how many characters I've got now. I've got one. Well, let me save her first. So this is a 0 level character, Toby. So at 0 level, you just have a background. You don't have a class. And the titles are based on your level and your class. So let me go back to the titles. So titles, so Isolde has a 16 wisdom, which is probably going to lean her towards the priest class. It's up to the player who takes this character to the next level, to first level. But as a priest, as a neutral priest of first or second level, her title would be Seeker. So she would be a first level Seeker. When she gains third level, she'll go to an Invoker. Fifth level to Haruspex. 7th, 8th level would be a Mystic, and 9th and 10th level would be an Oracle. So what we're doing here is we're making 0 level characters for a meat grinder adventure. A meat grinder adventure, or a death funnel as it's called, is an adventure that you start with. Each player starts with 4. Her background is that she's a minstrel. Yes. Did I not put that in there? Sorry. Yep, I got that. You're just explaining it to Toby, I assume. That's good. But a meat grinder, each player at the table in the game starts with 4 or more 0 level characters. They play one of those characters in this single session dungeon that is going to be pretty deadly for those characters. And then if that character dies, they pick up the next character in their stack. And at the end of the adventure, whichever character they're using that survived, whether that's the first, second, third, or fourth character, they can level that character up to first level, and then they can pick their class, then they will get their title, then they will get their money, and they will get to add more equipment and things like that, and they will get to roll for a talent, for a class talent, that kind of thing. So I did explain some more of that in the earlier part of the stream, but also if anybody else wants me to do more of these streams, which Sprouts has already said she would like me to do that, then I will schedule more of them, and we'll do more of them in the future. I have, let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 NPCs. I would like to have at least 16, and as many as 25 NPCs rolled up for this meat grinder. And then what's going to happen? So this is a adventure that I'm working on for Miriak and his wife and Jubo and her husband to play in. And if anybody else that's in that time zone wants to join, we can discuss them joining that game, or we can set up another time for me to do another game with another group of people. We will be doing them over Discord voice calls, and we'll be using a virtual tabletop program called Foundry that Miriak has set up for me to be able to show maps and character sheets and do dice rolls and stuff like that. So if anybody wants to join that, I don't know, Toby, if you joined the Dungeoneers Guild Discord server. I don't think you did. If you want to, send me a message on Discord. You already have me on Discord, but send me a message and I can send you the invite to that. No obligation to play if you join. I can put you on an NPC role and you can still kind of check things out and get a feel for things. And then decide your level of activity at that point in time. But that goes for anybody that's listening. I know there's some lurkers out there. Everybody else I think is joined. Well, Tyler hasn't joined yet. She's playing hard to get or something, I guess. But yeah, I'm willing to run a couple games a month. And each group will probably get one session a month. I'm also going to run currently I have a Central Time, East Coast Time combination group. I'm working on a West Coast Time group, and we're going to find a way to get a European time zone group as well. So lots of opportunity there. And currently I'm the only game master in the Discord server, but I'd like to see more people step into that role, even if they just need to play a few games first to kind of get the hang of stuff. I'm willing to teach, and I'm willing to answer all the questions. So join that Discord server, read those channel descriptions, understand how the server works. If you don't understand how it works after you've done all that, please ask questions. I will help you figure it out. I will help you learn it. I will help you learn the game and how to play the game. I will help you learn how to run the game if you want to run the game. And I think we can potentially have a lot of fun for a really long time. I've been playing TTRPGs for 36 years, and I've been running TTRPGs for 35 years. It's a lot of fun. Scheduling is a pain in the ass, which is the primary reason that I created this Discord server, so that you can find people to play with and have a better chance of matching schedules with somebody. I know there's people that haven't been in the chat today. They may be lurking or they may be missing the stream. I don't know. That have shown interest in playing and are looking for groups. And hopefully they can get active on the Discord server. And we'll create groups for people and we'll make it happen. So, again, any questions, anything you want to learn about, know about, get a hold of me on Discord. That's it for me today, guys. I appreciate you guys hanging out, helping me out. I appreciate the lurkers. And that's it for now. I'm not going to raid anybody. I'm just going to call it quits for the day. I've got some ribs on the smoker that I need to tend to. And some other things to take care of. I will be back Tuesday with Jubo for the Moria Death Race stream. If I hop on between now and then, I don't know what I'll be doing. Maybe playing a different game, maybe doing some building in a different world on Return to Moria. But I'll be around. Hit me up on Discord. Talk to me about RPGs. Later.